massive neurological and biological differences between men and women. They're well documented, but the postmodernist types just assume that the scientists who conducted the investigations are suffering from the same bias that they think permeates everything else, so they just discount it.
So is it really crazy to believe that someone could be born with biological similarities to an XY brain and biological XX phenotype?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look,
okay,
that isn't the argument that I'm making.
All right.
The argument that I'm making is that gender identity is strongly influenced by biological sex.
Okay.
And the problem is that the legislation, especially the legislation that's being introduced in Canada, argues that it's not.
Yes.
And that's just not helpful. It's not even helpful for the transgender types, because some of them, for sure, there are people who have mixed biological sex.
All right,
there are women who have some cells in their body that have male chromosomes.
Yes.
And it's not a trivial number, for example. And there are people who are born with genitalia that aren't identifiable, and there are more genuine hermaphroditic types. And there's no doubt that there are some men that have a more feminine personality structure and some women that have a more masculine personality structure, and that's biologically influenced. I'm not making a biological case that there are two genders, the end. I'm making a case that sexual identity is unbelievably powerfully influenced by biology with certain exceptions, and that those exceptions themselves might be biologically determined. Not in all cases, but in many. And so part of the reason I was objecting to legislation like Bill C-16 is because it insists that gender identity is socially constructed. Well, if gender identity is socially constructed, then why can't we just take transgender people and socialize them back into their normative sex roles?
Exactly.
Right, exactly. So that's part of the reason I was objecting to the legislation.
Yes.
One of the most powerful arguments, and I said this, I did a presentation in front of the Canadian Senate. I don't know if you saw that or not. There's no reason for you to have paid attention to it. But if you look up Jordan Peterson and Senate, you'll see that along with a practicing lawyer, I made exactly that case to a number of Canadian senators, telling them that by supporting this legislation, they were actually doing a disservice to the people that they purported to be helping. It isn't that biologically there are two sexes, although as an approximation, that's true.